Hi guys, Scott Woodward to preview the Brisbane Broncos for 2015, and it's the Brisbane Broncos now trained by Wayne Bennett, the previous coach who has won 6 premierships at this famous club. And it didn't take Wayne long to put his stamp of approval onto this list, making mass sackings, and even though he inherited 6 or 7 fullbacks, he brought in his old favourite fullback, which sadly for the club has been injured, and he looks like he's going to be 4 to 6 months out of the game. We're talking about Darius Boyd, and it means that the Broncos are going to have to start with a rookie fullback, rookie as in starting at fullback. Jordan Kahu looks to have the inside run for that job over the pommy Greg Eden, but I have got no doubts that Anthony Milford is by far and away the best fullback in the club. And given the circumstances, I definitely would have been playing Anthony Milford at fullback and playing young Ashley Taylor at 6. He's very promising, Ashley Taylor. His stats have been outstanding in the last 12 months, and I think he's NRL class. And he may not be ready for round 1, but I certainly think he will be at some stage. And fullback is such an important position, and we saw from the last couple of trials for Jordan Kahu, particularly in England, that while he's a good player, you have to be much better than good if you're going to be a fullback, and that's a big concern for the Bulldogs during this season. I've got no doubt that as Wayne continues to put his mark on this side, and he has some incredible talent in this side, young talent as well, next year and the year after that, they're certainly going to be a major force in this competition. Look, let's talk a little bit about 2015 though. Some of the things that I would like to see, I've already mentioned I would have liked to see Milford play 1. Because Milford playing 1, and I'd like to see young Ashley Taylor come in at some stage. And while he was getting ready for first grade, I certainly think the veteran Hodges is the best choice they have at 6. And one of the reasons for that is, of course, they have an abundance of centres. And if Copley comes back okay after his injury, he has to go straight into the left centre position. As far as I'm concerned, he made 19 line breaks last season. 19 line breaks is like world class. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. Only the very good players make that many line breaks, and very, very few ever do it from playing centre or playing on the wing. And he's just very, very promising. I think he'll end up playing Origin. I don't know about this year, but I see Copley as an Origin player, and it's an easy decision for me to have him as one of the starting centres. I want to talk a little bit about how the Broncos went last year. They only won 5 of their 12 away games, and that's a concern. And even more of a concern is that they lost their last 5 games in a row on the road, and that's something that Wayne Bennett has to fix up. Having said that, the team that he just came from, the Newcastle Knights, didn't have a good away record last year either. So it's certainly a concern for the Broncos. Winning your home games is okay, but you do need to win more than 50% of your games away if you hope to play in the semi-finals. And that is going to be a concern, particularly with a young, inexperienced fullback. Ben Hunt is clearly the most important player in this team. He's the general, he's the halfback, and if you look at how he went last year, he won a lot of awards last year, and rightly so. He had the most tries for a halfback, the most line breaks, the most tackle busts, and the most run metres, and the most kicking metres. I think they're incredibly important stats. The most important stat is an area that he failed in, as far as I'm concerned, for a halfback. The job for a halfback is one of many, but the most important one is that you have to be in a good position for tackle 5, and you have to get a tactical kick away, or make a break, or do a pass, or just do something so you're not caught with the ball, and your team ends up in good field position. And that's an area that young Ben Hunt wasn't good at last year. And from what I've seen of him in the 2 trials that I've seen him in this year, he hasn't improved, particularly over in England. I thought his tackle 5 options were very disappointing. So let's hope that he gets some time now with the great man. He hasn't had what you call a great coach in previous years, and I'd like to think that Wayne will get the best out of him and he'll address that situation. But it's an important thing, and it's something that some halfbacks can learn, and some halfbacks never learn it. But there's only about 3 or 4 of them in the competition that are actually only good at it. And if Ben Hunt wants to play Origin for Queensland, he needs to get better at 5th tackle options. Some of the promising players that Wayne Bennett has at his disposal for the Broncos is Corey Oates, James Gavay, Mitch Garbutt, and especially Joe Offengawi. They're big block-busting forwards, and they hit the line very, very hard, and they've all got skill, and I think they'll be in this team for many, many years, and they'll be the backbone of the Broncos going forward. But already the Broncos have an outstanding forward pack, and it is their major strength. I have some concerns with their backs. I have some concerns with their bench, but their forwards will hold them in very good stead, as they always do. It's a class act, the forwards, and I have to say that any team that has Corey Parker at lock, he's getting on now, Corey. He's on the wrong side of 30, but he looks to be playing as good as ever. He's just got everything you want for a player: work rate, ball skills, a good defender. He's just an outstanding player. You love him in any side. I want to talk a little bit about backing up from the UK. As far as winning the premiership, there's no team that has gone to England and played over there in the off-season and come back and won the premiership this century. So already that's going to be difficult for the Broncos. I don't see it as a problem in round 1, but it's probably going to be a problem in round 3 or 4 or something like that. But it is an issue. Try jumping on a plane and going to England and coming back. It's not an easy thing to do. And stats are stats, and they say you can't come back and win a premiership and do it. And we'll see the same problem with South Sydney. We'll see the same problem with St George. We'll talk about those two teams a little bit later on. I've already talked about Wayne Bennett. He's clearly the greatest thing that this club has got going for him. He took the Broncos over that were in a mess as far as I was concerned. So I can only see him going ahead in leaps and bounds. But while I think they've got a great future, and I like what Wayne is doing to this club, I just don't think they're going to be a big factor this year. I think they need a little bit of time. There's a lot of young kids in this side, and he needs to work out who he wants to be. His spine, is Anthony Milford going to be his permanent 6? If he's not going to be his permanent 6, I think it's going to be a bit of a problem, because Darius Boyd will be his fullback. That's one thing for sure. But for me, I rate Anthony Milford a better fullback than Darius Boyd. I would have been putting Darius Boyd where he plays in State of Origin. I think he's a world-class winger, and I don't see him as a world-class fullback, where I think Anthony Milford could be anything, and that's the difference in the two players. So look, there it is for me. I think the Broncos can perhaps sneak into the 8, but I see them just missing out of the 8, just the way things are at the moment, unless, of course, they can find a fullback that I haven't seen go around and surprises me, or young Jordan Kahu is a lot better than what I think he is. But I think the Broncos will have a good year without playing semi-finals. But certainly if you're a fan, you've got a lot to be enthusiastic about in the years to come. Good luck for the year. Cheers.